On a cool evening, the dining room of a modest family home brimmed with quiet anticipation. The table, laid out with care and an inviting array of home-cooked dishes, carried an air of both celebration and solemn remembrance. The centerpiece of this ritual was an empty chair, set aside and draped in a delicate shawl of tremulous memories. In this silent tribute, every utensil, every plate, and every elegantly folded napkin spoke of a time when laughter and warm voices filled the space. The chair, though vacant, held a presence as palpable as the soft glow of twilight streaming through the window. Here, every reflective glance towards the empty seat deepened the echo of past smiles and tender shared moments, weaving an invisible tapestry of love that extended beyond the boundaries of life and loss. In the gentle hum of evening preparations, subtle mementos of the departed mother adorned the room, aged photographs resting in vintage frames, a worn quilt displaying a patchwork of comforting hues, and a vase of freshly picked wildflowers reminiscent of her beloved garden. The arrangement was a heartwarming yet melancholic tableau that spoke intimately of shared meals, whispered stories, and the enduring hope that she might somehow still be present. It was as if the room itself held its breath, waiting for a sign that the careful balance between memory and presence could be maintained. Throughout this humble setting, an intangible energy lingered, inviting both tears and smiles in equal measure, a reminder that every ending quietly nurtures the promise of an unseen reunion. The quiet dinner was not just a meal, but a solemn ceremony celebrating love, loss, and the eternal bond of family. In that tender moment, the spirit of memory filled every corner of the room, weaving magic into the ordinary profoundly. In a golden tapestry of memories, the family assembled together at the long oak table, their hearts intertwined with the threads of both love and sorrow. Each family member, with distinctive features etched by shared experiences and quiet resilience, contributed to a portrait of deep affection that transcended the physical world. David, the eldest son with thoughtful eyes and gentle wisdom, sat quietly near the head of the table, his face a canvas painted with both introspection and hope. Alongside him gathered his siblings, who carried in their expressions the unmistakable trace of grief mingled with gratitude for a mother whose influence echoed in every loving gesture. While some wore subtle smiles hinting at cherished recollections of warm sunlit afternoons spent in her garden, others exhibited quiet eyes that reflected a longing for days long past. The arrangement of the table was a living memory. Every plate bore the marks of a favorite recipe, every ornament whispered stories of family traditions, and the empty chair remained a sacred space filled with the unspoken promise of reunion. In this intimate setting, aromas of spiced delicacies and home-baked bread intertwined with the faint, lingering essence of her perfume, a reminder of a love that never faded. The warm glow of candlelight shimmered on the polished surface of the wood, casting gentle shadows that danced in quiet harmony with the family's shared recollections. Each detail, from the faded photograph resting beside the empty chair to the time-worn heirlooms arranged with care, told a chapter of a story deeply rooted in trust, compassion, and enduring legacy. The quiet conversations that had earlier filled the room faded into a respectful hush as each family member quietly honored her memory in their own way. The silent presence of her essence was intermingled with every gesture, making the space feel both complete and achingly incomplete at the same time. In that room where past and present converged, every heart silently communicated its grief, its joy, and the unbreakable bond that stitched them together into one family. Their enduring love echoed in every cherished, whispered memory beyond measure. In a sudden shift, the gentle murmur of shared memories gave way to an uncanny silence that fell over the family gathering. The room, filled with the soft glow of flickering candlelight and the comforting sense of dinner, now seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the unknown. As the clock ticked in deliberate measure, a spectral glow began to emanate from the space near the revered empty chair. At first, there was only a subtle shimmer like distant starlight breaking through a veil of night. Then gradually, the light grew discerning and more palpable, transforming into the unmistakable presence of a familiar figure. The apparition, with graceful movements, manifested fully into view. Here, in an almost surreal display, The spirit of the dearly departed mother appeared before the assembled family, her form both vivid and tenderly ethereal. The atmosphere took on an otherworldly quality as every detail of her appearance resonated with memories. The soft lines of her face, preserved in timeless allure, shone with a gentle light that cast shadows of yesteryear across the room. The ethereal glow caressed the walls and the cherished mementos, transforming them into relics of both past and future hope. The family, with hearts pounding in quiet astonishment, felt the weight of every shared moment and every tear that had been shed in her absence. Their eyes, wide with both wonder and disbelief, locked onto this spectral visitor whose presence breathed new life into their sorrow. A mix of emotions swirled in the room, a blend of reverence, joy, and an inexplicable sadness, as if time had momentarily frozen. The intangible boundary between the living and the departed seemed to dissolve, allowing the past to walk hand in hand with the present. In that profound instant, each soul recognized the sacred continuity of love, and the family understood that the mundane had been transformed into a space of timeless connection. In that suspended moment, the air itself shimmered with a delicate fusion of reality and reverie, binding hearts with the promise of memories reborn and a future touched by mysticism beyond all eternally. Within the electrified silence, David's internal world surged with a swirl of emotions as he sought to reconcile the extraordinary with the realm of the everyday. In the midst of the room's stunned quiet, his heart beat a rhythm of wonder mixed with trepidation, for the apparition before him unveiled a mystery that transcended logic. Amid the charged atmosphere and pulsing energy, his gaze fell upon the radiant form of his mother, and memories clashed with the reality of her spectral return. As the quiet settled over the dinner table, David's inner longing to understand the impossible grew stronger, compelling him to reach deep within for courage. The silent inquiry in his eyes, filled with a delicate balance of determined hope and silent questioning, became the unspoken bridge between life and the unknown. In that fragile space, the room seemed to be suspended in time, where every heartbeat counted and every shared memory shimmered with intensity. The very air was charged with the weight of unasked questions and unspoken answers, creating an atmosphere that defied conventional explanation. Amid this emotional orchestration, the delicate ripple of David's unvoiced inquiry resonated with the entire family's collective memory. It was a moment where the boundary between the tangible and the transient blurred, urging everyone present to confront the possibility that the essence of a cherished soul could return in unexpected ways. As the invisible threads of hope and curiosity interlaced with the depth of loss, the family's silent attention was drawn towards the apparition, their prayers for understanding mingling with awe. In that poignant slice of time, the quiet inquiry in David's soul seemed to encapsulate the eternal quest for connection, a quest that was both deeply personal and universally human. In that tender hour, his silent query resonated deeply with every heart. Bathed in a soft, otherworldly radiance, the apparition of the mother began to reveal the mysteries of her new existence. As the ethereal light played upon her gentle features, her presence radiated warmth and understanding that soothed the trembling hearts of the gathered family. In the silent communion between the living and the spirit realm, the mother's form exuded a serene wisdom born from experiences beyond mortal comprehension. The spectral glow, as unwavering as a beacon of hope, intertwined with the delicate remnants of the family's long-held hopes, reviving faded memories and inspiring a renewed sense of connection. In this intimate moment, she unfolded her tale, a journey marked by encounters with celestial beings, landscapes painted in hues of infinite wonder, and realms where time danced in an eternal ballet. Her narrative, conveyed not through spoken words, but through a luminous expression of heartfelt recollections, stirred emotions deep within the room. The quiet intensity in the air was palpable as the narrative of her afterlife painted a vivid picture of both liberation and gentle longing. The vision of her travels through boundless dimensions and mysterious waters of the soul carried an otherworldly beauty that defied ordinary explanation. The mother's revelations told of encounters with kindred spirits, subtle whispers of ancient wisdom woven through the fabric of the cosmos, and the comforting realization that every soul remained inextricably linked by love. As her silent story drifted across the room, the gathering sensed that this was more than a mere recollection. It was a promise of continued presence, a reassurance that love endures far beyond the confines of earthly life. The ethereal glow of her form seemed to grow in intensity as she conveyed not only her past experiences, but also her ongoing connection to the living world. In the overlap of sorrow and hope, the room was transformed into a sanctuary of memories and dreams. Every gaze fixed upon her radiance, every heartbeat synchronized with the cadence of her revealed journey, and every silent tear acknowledged the bittersweet nature of this extraordinary reunion. The undeniable message emerging from her spectral narrative was clear. The paths of the living and the departed were intertwined by an invisible thread of care that transcended time and space, inviting all to cherish the profound, everlasting connection that binds them all. Her luminous revelations promise that even in death, love endures and forever illuminates every soul. Truly, as the room continued to glow with the mother's serene presence, a sense of anticipation began to permeate the atmosphere. The ethereal light, still shimmering softly, seemed to whisper a promise of what was yet to come. In that quiet, reflective space, the mother's silent revelation shifted to a prophecy, a glimpse into a future where the boundary between life and the afterlife would grow ever thinner. The spectral figure, embodying both the grief of loss and the hope for reunion, conveyed without words that this extraordinary encounter was only the beginning. The subtle energy in the room, as gentle and insistent as the murmur of a distant wind, foretold a time when visits from departed loved ones would become part of everyday life. The vision was both soothing and stirring, as if the cosmic fabric had decided to allow more interludes of spiritual presence. In the soft embrace of that transformative moment, the room resonated with the promise that each farewell might someday lead to another embrace in a realm where love perpetuates. The prophecy carried a delicate balance of reassurance and wonder, suggesting that life was preparing to offer more opportunities for souls to reconnect across the veil. It was a declaration that the mysteries of existence were far from concluded and that the unseen realms were poised to become a familiar part of human experience. This newfound perspective illuminated hearts with both a tender melancholy and a joyful readiness for the miracles of the future. The silence of the present gave way to an anticipation filled with the potential of tomorrow, where every echo of the past would weave seamlessly into the story of life, death, and love. This prophetic vision stirred every soul present, infusing the room with a gentle certainty that spiritual bridges would soon arise. In the soft settling of twilight, the gathered family experienced a profound transformation as grief was gently supplanted by overwhelming love and unity. The shimmering presence of their mother filled the room with an aura of serenity, softening the sharp edges of loss with warm hues of affection. In that enchanted moment, every face reflected a delicate interplay of emotions, joy intertwined with bittersweet remembrance, and sorrow mingled with quiet elation. Her ghostly presence was more than a visitation. It was a heartfelt embrace from beyond, reassuring each heart that distance and time were insignificant compared to the power of love. The room, until just moments before burdened with sorrow, now radiated a luminous energy that spoke of eternal connections, of memories cherished and bonds that remain unbroken. Every subtle gesture, every tender glance shared among the family was a silent ode to mutual admiration and the timeless power of togetherness. The spiritual reunion elevated their shared remembrance from mere memory to an experience of vivid warmth and resurgent hope. In this quiet celebration of a life well loved, the invisible threads of kinship shone through, reaffirming a promise made long ago that no separation, not even death, could sever their connection. In that serene gathering, the expression of love transcended words, leaving a legacy of undying devotion, as the family and the spectral mother conveyed with their very presence how deeply they genuinely cared about each other. Unspoken vows of unity and eternal remembrance filled the air, sealing their timeless bond. Slowly, the gentle glow of the spectral mother began to wane, and the room fell into a reflective hush that carried both farewell and soft hope. The family, still enveloped in the wonder of the visitation, gathered around the table with quiet reverence. In that solemn silence, they understood that the reunion was not a final goodbye, but a sacred pause in the timeless journey of love. The empty chair, once marked only by sorrow, now radiated a comforting warmth, a living reminder of a bond that could never be broken. Every cherished memory and every shared moment merged in that silent space, affirming that their connection transcended the boundaries of life and death. In this profound stillness, the family found solace amid the intermingling of past and future. The interplay of shadow and light cast gentle patterns upon familiar surfaces, echoing the promise that love endures. In every quiet gesture, a soft touch on the hand, a lingering gaze toward the empty seat, their hearts expressed unspoken words of devotion. Each heartbeat resonated like a whispered vow. I love you, I missed you, and I will forever. This unspoken promise, carried on the wings of memory, filled the room with an enduring sense of unity. As the final glimmers of the spectral light diminished, the family embraced this bittersweet farewell. They believed that within the echo of every whispered memory, and in the quiet interlude of this parting, the promise of reunion would remain steadfast. Their hearts now carried a luminous certainty that love, eternal and unwavering, would guide them until they met again. In that final sacred moment, the family's silent farewell echoed across time, promising that every ending was merely the threshold of a beautiful new beginning. Their hearts brimmed with hope of endless reunions and everlasting love in abundance.